Good.
Yeah, you should.
Good morning and welcome to the Wright County Board meeting of August 29, 2017. We'll begin this morning with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning again, everyone. Just to let people know in the viewing audience, Commissioner Vetch is gone this morning. We're expecting a drill for the nuclear plant. There's probably a name for it.
And exercise.
And Commissioner Hewson will also more than likely be called out at any minute. I see she's got her phone ready to go here. So, and when Chris leaves, then we'll have the color scheme red, white, and blue.
Okay.
We're all anticipating that call.
I've got my nuclear shirt on, just in case I get called.
You don't have a shirt and back that has stars on it, do you?
Oh, that's
perfect.
Quite the coincidence here. That was not planned, just so everybody knows. So, all right. The minutes from August 15th meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'll move the minutes.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Hewson and second by Commissioner Delighten to approve the minutes from August 15th. Any further discussion? Lee, nothing over there? All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Review and approve the agenda for today. Lee, did you have any changes at all?
I did not. Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delighten. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The consent agenda today, does anyone have anything they would like to remove for further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hewson, second by Commissioner Potter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. Timed agenda. We have Dr. Richard Lee from the Central Minnesota Mental Health. Mental Health, what's the C?
Center.
Center.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to
Good morning, Doctor.
Welcome, Dr. Lee.
Thank you. I've got a brief statement to read, and I'd be happy to entertain questions after that.
Sure.
Dating at least to 2014, the Central Minnesota Mental Health Center Board has been contemplating whether the original 55-plus year governance structure is the optimal one to take CMMHC into the future. In January 2016, the CMMHC Board adopted a strategic plan, which had among its goals to create a board governance task force charged with determining what an optimal board structure would look like. I began my tenure as executive director at CMMHC on February 1st, 2016, and was tasked with shepherding this task force along. After multiple meetings spanning over a year and including review by the county attorneys, human services directors, and administrators of the 4 members of CMMHC, Benton, Sherburne, Stearns, and Wright counties, on June 26, 2017, the CMMHC Board unanimously passed a resolution to adopt new amended Articles of Incorporation and bylaws. CMMHC's understanding of its current bylaws is that the county boards must adopt a similar resolution if CMMHC is to proceed with restructuring its board governance. My understanding is that you have in your materials for today the CMMHC board resolution and the proposed amended Articles of Incorporation and bylaws. So, on behalf of the CMMHC Board of Directors, I come before you today to request that you consider adopting a resolution in support of the proposed articles and bylaws for CMMHC. For many years, CMMHC's 4 counties provided it a significant annual operational subsidy, as much as $1 million per year collectively. In the past few years, the financial relationship has changed more to one of purchase of service contracts, with a significant reduction of the collective operational subsidy to $100,000, which represents less than 1/2 of 1% of our $22 million operating budget for 2017. For context, there are some community mental health centers across outstate Minnesota which retain significant operational subsidies from counties and which have majority county commissioner boards, like CMMHC does now. Other centers have no operational subsidy and more traditional private not-for-profit 501c3 boards. We are a 501c3 now, just with a very non-traditional kind of board. Regardless of governance structure, all community mental health centers maintain strong relationships with counties. After all, the identity and mission of community mental health squares with the charge of human services agencies, serving the community and some of its most vulnerable citizens, and we both represent significant strands of the safety net. For CMMHC, none of that changes with the change in board structure. In fact, I think CMMHC's future health depends on counties viewing us as indispensable to the accomplishment of their goals, and I consider this to be a superior relationship dynamic to one arising out of a historically rooted obligation. The CMMHC board structure and its relationship with county government has enabled CMMHC to well serve the behavioral health needs of the citizens of central Minnesota over several decades. Yet, the behavioral health services landscape has changed dramatically over that time, and CMMHC has a substantially broader constituency than it did 55 years ago. After considerable study and contemplation, the CMMHC Board of Directors believe the proposed change better positions the agency to thrive in the current and future behavioral health care environment. Thank you for your thoughtful consideration of the proposed resolution.
Okay, and then I had a couple of questions, I guess. So, and we were briefed on this a little bit earlier, but so will this change the board then right away after this is passed? If it's passed by all of the 4 different entities, the board would change, whereas there would no longer be county representation on the board? It
won't change immediately. Our timeline contemplates after the counties have weighed in on this, the county boards have weighed in on this, that we will begin board recruitment, but that the new board wouldn't be seated until January of 2018.
Okay. And would a county commissioner be excluded from the board?
No.
Okay.
No.
So it's the way that it's funded and things like that. There would be no, excuse me, the funding portion of this, where the counties right now have an assessment, say, or whatever you call it, that would not be in existence anymore then.
That, starting in 2018, would not be in existence.
Okay. Commissioner Potter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And Dr. Lee, we want to thank you and our members of the board here that go there. We've been informed of this change all the way through and updated, so it's nothing here that's coming as a surprise or, oh, what were we doing here? And I believe it was probably long overdue to change the governance structure of this to more reflect what today's needs are. And I applaud that this is probably the correct way of going, because every time you start something with public money, sometimes people are hoping to have an end to the public end of it. Now, this will stand on its own without the county dollars, and I think it's the correct way to go. I think it can serve more people and be a better functioning entity.
I think our board chair is Sherburne County Commissioner Felix Schmiesing.
Yeah.
And I thought he said it very nicely last night at our board meeting. He said, you know, it's time for the counties to turn the agency over to the community. And I thought that was very well said.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
Well, one of the advantages that I see is that you're going to actually have experts on your board instead of a bunch of politicians. Because right now you have no psychiatrists, psychologists, you know, any of those doctors, people that actually know more about some of the mental health issues that are out there and how to deal with them.
Commissioner, there's that, and also for a more traditional 501c3, fundraising is a very significant piece, and although it isn't literally true, what I've been told since I came on a year and a half ago was that there is a public perception that CMMHC is a government entity. And certainly no donors are going to be very inclined to donate resources to a government entity. And also, my understanding is that commissioners, which we have 13 board seats right now, 7 of which are county commissioners. I don't know if this is actually true, but my understanding is that commissioners may be prohibited from doing that kind of fundraising on behalf of CMMHC. So it does, I think it does, the potential is there at least for it to bode well. But I've been thinking a lot over the last few months about being careful what you wish for. So, I mean, we're going into an unknown for us, and there certainly are challenges ahead. But we do think that this kind of board structure does position us better for the future.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to adopt CMMHC amended and restated articles of incorporation and amended bylaws.
I will second that.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Leyden, second by Commissioner Potter, and this is a resolution vote, I do believe, Lee. And I will start it off. I'll say aye. Commissioner Leyden?
You should start it at the red, white, and blue. I mean, you do this all wrong.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
I suppose I should have made an exception.
Maybe you'll have
Right.
another chance.
Resolution is approved. Absent 2 of our commissioners, but I think it would still pass, so they would be in favor of it too, I think.
Yeah, they were both in agreement with it.
Yeah. If they weren't, we probably would have postponed this a little bit, so.
Thank you,
All right,
Doctor.
thank you, Dr. Lee. Okay. Next up, Wright County Auditor Bob Hebla. Good morning,
Chair.
Bob. Yes, Commissioner
Forgot
Bob.
to say award-winning.
Well,
He's burned that out.
you know, yeah, and then we have everybody that comes up in our county has won some award, no matter what department almost.
Right.
So
The sentiment was
it
taken.
was fun for a while.
It was. I appreciate it, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, the first item on the agenda is to have you authorize that all employee reimbursements be paid ACH-wise. Or we have paid our employees their paychecks ACH-wise. This is just the next step, and then we're going to strive towards our vendor payments. So, Board, I'm asking you to authorize that all employee reimbursements be paid via ACH methods.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Delight, second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. You can give me a chance.
Okay, talk.
No, it's too late. Well, I was just going to say, I'm glad to see we're moving forward with this sort of stuff. Mr. Chair, we will have an education out to the employees because this does impact, it'll go to your primary bank, so we'll explain how that works, but.
Okay. Motion carried unanimous, though.
No, I know, I've heard from a number of employees that would prefer to have it done this way a while ago, so.
Okay.
Glad to hear it. Good.
Apologize for that, Commissioner Delight, and I was trying to move things along here, so.
Sure.
Okay.
Welch me.
And then we have another resolution to authorize the auditor treasurer to pay bills, then to update the board on what the bills have been paid.
Now, Commissioners, this, if you remember, this was kind of like an outcome of our Kaizen event that we identified some gaps. This is by statute. You have the authority to delegate that down to me to get these paid. So I gave you the update of the Kaizen event. I promise you that I'd be bringing this forward to you. So we drafted this resolution, which basically says that you will delegate the authority to pay the bills down to me and what we'll do for that. So I'm asking you to approve this resolution.
And Mr. Chair.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Potter.
And part of this for the public to understand is a lot of these we'll be able to pay our bills timely and take advantage of any discounts for paying in a certain amount of time. So, and the efficiencies of this will help through the auditor treasurer's office. So it's a win for the county and take advantage of any discounts that are there and make sure we're making timely payments.
Right. And Mr. Chair, Commissioner Potter, I'll add that this is a desire of the departments to also have more timely information. So we'll seek to get as much discounts as we can, but also we're trying to improve the reporting back to the departments. We identify that there is a gap when the department turns the bills into us timing with the board agenda, to us getting it paid and then back. So things will be paid in a more timely manner for our vendors and for our.
And Mr. Chair, second comment, thank you, Mr. Chair. With that Kaizen event, when we were going through how many hands had to touch a bill before it kind of reminds Commissioner Delight and myself when we first got on the board, just to paint a wall, it had to go through so many steps just to get a wall painted. And that's not efficient at all, and this is going to help add more efficiency.
Correct.
And made sure the wall got painted with the right color, though.
That was part of the problem, is nobody could decide the color.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the auditor treasurers to pay the bills.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter.
Oh, I guess I'll second it.
Okay. Further discussion, should we start with Mike on this? You want to?
Well, you're the board chair, whatever you want to do.
Well, we're going to skip rotation here just to have red, white, and blue. Commissioner Potter?
Aye.
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 Resolution is approved. Okay.
Okay, thank you, board. The next item on the agenda is to approve a new tobacco license, Dollar General Store in the city of Rockford. So we have the proper application, we have the proper fees.
I make a motion to approve the new tobacco license for DG Retail.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Delight, second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
For the next item up here, I'll probably have Brian come up to answer any more detailed questions, but we had a piece of property in Cokato that went forfeit. It did convert to the state. We did find out that one of the banks does want to buy that back. So before you is a resolution authorizing the repurchase piece of property in the city of Cokato. Anything else you want to add to that?
Okay. Maybe I have a question here. So explain the process of what happened. Okay, the property went tax forfeiture, then the homeowner would have so much time to repurchase it back, and then that time has elapsed already?
Actually not, Mr. Chair. This one's got a little bit different twist. The property is homestead property. The couple who lived there went through a marital dissolution, stopped paying the mortgage payments. The property, meanwhile, went tax forfeit. Around that same time, the original mortgage company assigned their mortgage to a new mortgage company, which had no knowledge whatsoever of the forfeiture, as far as I could tell. But in that transfer of interest from the first mortgage company to the second mortgage company got any repurchase rights. Basically, either the owners, in other words, the couple that lived there, or any other interested party, which would include the mortgage company, has the right to repurchase by paying all the back taxes, penalties, and interest. And so we do have a check in hand from that second mortgage company. The couple that lived there, the house, or the interest in the house, had been awarded to the wife as a part of the marital dissolution, and she had no interest in keeping it. I'm not sure how much equity there was, but it was a situation where she agreed to move out. So,
okay. So, and had the mortgage company known that this property the property tax was not being paid, they may have likely paid the property tax and then went through the foreclosure, and it would end up being exactly the same as what we're going to be doing now.
Correct, Mr. Chair. Usually there's a paragraph in any mortgage that says if the taxes aren't being paid, the mortgage company has a right to pay them. So they would have gone through, I'm sure, a foreclosure process at some point. It's just that we got to it first.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I'd just like to clarify, when mortgages are serviced by, say, Wells Fargo or Bayview or whatever, when they sold them off at points in times, this just got caught in the crossfire of the paperwork. It just happens once in a while. And Mr. Chair, with this, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution approving the repurchase of the tax forfeit property in Cokato.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Potter. And this is a resolution as well?
Correct.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delighten. Commissioner Delighten, you want to start that one off?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resolution is approved.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you, Bob. And next up, we have Brian, right? No, that was already taken care of. Oh,
No.
Greg Picard, Veteran Service Officer.
No, you get Brian, yeah, again, there's two different actions.
Brian's got something.
Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
Brian, I thought
two
that's what that was, just was.
Two separate ones.
Oh, sorry, Greg. They're both real similar here, that's what I was thinking, okay.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, this one is something that we've done annually, I think, for the last couple of years at least, when we have a slate of tax forfeit properties that we're going to hopefully put on public auction. Oftentimes we'll find abandoned personal property, and the statutes call for the board to authorize the seizure and sale of any abandoned personal property that's found on that land. On this one in particular, we're naming that one parcel in Silver Creek Township. Bob has been out there a couple of times. There's a home with furniture, a car, some other items left behind. And in order for us to deal with those, we need the go-ahead from you. You may notice there's somewhere in here I'm saying included, I guess the last whereas paragraph, I'm saying including but not limited to the following parcels. This is the only parcel that we have a structure on, but there may be stuff left behind on some of the land-only parcels that we have, and so we want to be able to deal with that as well if there's a junked car or other debris left behind. So just asking for the board approval for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the cleaning of properties for tax forfeited properties for public sale.
And this is also a resolution, I do believe.
Correct.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delighten, second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Potter, do you want to go first?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Resolution is approved. Now, Mr. Gregory Picard, our Veteran Service Officer. Sorry, Greg.
Good morning.
Morning.
So two things in front of you today. The first one is recommend the adoption of the 2018 Veterans Operational Improvement Grant. Same as the prior year, so it's just the grant from the state to help with veterans causes and stuff in the county. This will put us back on the reimbursement one now. So we're back on schedule, back in the state's good graces or whatever, so they will grant this, and then they should send us the $15,000 up front, and then at the end of the year we'll just have to do the closeout to pay back anything that we didn't spend.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, before we
Go ahead,
vote on this, Greg, I want to applaud you for, we're trying to serve the veterans here. And moving forward, you've been talking with Adam Tagaro on how to scan these things, and it seems like you're just a taskmaster just getting things done, which I'm...
It's not just me.
It's a team effort, I know that, but you still have to have somebody in charge to make sure that the buttons get pushed and people move forward. And I much appreciate that, and the county veterans obviously are going to see a very huge benefit from this there, so they don't have to wait. And I'm just happy for the day when all the records are scanned in, where they can access their information if they need to, and customer service, again, is number one here. And that's what I'm real happy for, and thank you for your and your team's hard work on getting this pushed forward.
You're welcome.
And as long as we're throwing out kudos, the fair, what a success. I mean, you guys really had the showing there. I mean,
And I will take very little credit for that. That was totally Debbie and Colleen's effort, and having the experience and getting everything set up and say, Greg, you need to do this. Greg, you need to do this. Got it.
You had the people from the state out there. I mean, there was a lot of knowledge in the booth there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mr. Chair, at the fair, I was informing every single veteran I came by is you have the top horses in the stable over here. Go see them while you can.
And I think that was big. Even I have received comments back even from the state guy that he was really impressed with how we kind of ran it, and the people that came through and stuff like that. And he hadn't been to this one before. And so I think we'll have a good chance of getting him back, or one of the other state VA.
It's rare to have that many top dogs per se.
Yeah, well, it's
on
good for the
spot.
veterans. I mean, and that's why I did that, so that a veteran shows up, if it's a benefits question, if it's a health care question, if it's a county benefit, we're all right there. Get your question answered. If we can't answer your question, at least, you know, I've skipped a step of having to call somebody to find out the answer. They'll find
Call
out
somebody,
the...
set an appointment, drive down to
Right,
St. Paul, whatever.
right.
They're here right now.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution for the funding.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delight. Further discussion?
Yeah, so how many file cabinets do you have left?
About 28. So 28 months from now, I should be telling you, we are done. We've got everything. So, but the Debbie and Colleen are obviously doing their lion's share because I'm dealing with veterans on a daily basis. But they are knocking out, and kudos goes to them. I mean, they are fitting us in with their regular duties and stuff, and they are knocking out about a cabinet a month, give or take a little bit here. Yeah. So yeah, we've gotten rid of like 6 or 7, possibly 8 cabinets already. So every month we're calling the maintenance guys down, here, take another one, and redistributing it. I mean, licensed branches taking some of our, because some of our cabinets are still in good shape. So we're reutilizing those cabinets, so, you know, kind of saving account, not having to buy new file cabinets and stuff like that too, so.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
One other question. Going through all those file cabinets, have you guys found anything of extreme interest at all?
Absolutely. I mean, to me, the history, you know, military history and stuff like that, we have found 2 1918 discharges for people that, you know, and we're trying to track those down and what to do with those, because I don't, you know, once we're scanning them in, we don't have a need for the file, but something like that might be of interest to the family or maybe to the historical society.
Yeah, that
or
would be,
something
I
like
would
that.
think they may have some interest.
Right,
in some
but
of that.
so I've still got to check onto, you know, privacy laws and things like that of what I can give out, and make sure that I can't find a family member who might still want it.
When you scan these in right now, you give that file back to the veteran then that they're
No,
still-
sir, because most of it's health information,
Oh.
so I can't give it to the family, I can only give it to the veteran.
To the veteran though. Yeah, if they're
Right,
still-
if they want it, but most of it's all, and that's the thing, most of the files is stuff that's already in the VA systems. So if they need a copy of it, I can still go get it. It's just, you know, medical records, the VA already has. Those don't need to go anywhere. Or they're medical records that the veteran brought into me, and they're copies of those.
So to dovetail on Commissioner DeLayden's question, did you find anything interesting like, wow, that's the wrong person in the
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and I won't lie to you, yeah, there's some like, oh, that doesn't belong in this file. That belongs in that, yeah, there's some of that too.
Okay.
You know, and the amount of
Expected.
Post-it notes,
When you have that
my, Luke, who was, you know, filling in and got me trained or whatever, when I first started, he was joking with me, he's like, you know what, because he was helping me go through, I'm gonna start charging you $1 for every one of these Post-it notes or whatever. So we kind of had a running thing back and forth, and it's like, I would write it, but I'm like, that one doesn't cost me $1, Luke, that's mine.
So if you find anything in the 1800s, then you might be able to get down into Charlie's
And,
history.
and if you also find any county ditch records, we will.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe that's where they're at.
Okay, further discussion. Resolution vote here, I do believe again, Lee? I'll start off, I'll go aye.
Aye.
Resolution is approved. Thank you, Greg.
Yep, and then the other thing was, and I had talked to Commissioner Burrell about this, is just kind of a update of what we've been doing over the last 6 months. You know, being the new VSO, I thought I owed that to you and to the community of, okay, here's what's going on. The only update to this is, as you can see, the walk-in and call numbers I have down here. So right now we're at when I did this letter up, we were at 1375, and that was based on the end of June. So based on today at 8 o'clock in the morning, we've already done 1,949 walk-in and calls this year. That's more than double the previous years we've done, and we've still got 5 months left of the year. So I think our use has gone up. I think we've got more veterans coming in, more veterans getting service, which is what we want to hear, and what our whole goal is to get as many veterans in and get them the benefits as we can.
And then Greg, when I got out of the service, they told us, go to your county, get your W-2, your W-4s,
No.
214.
WD, DD 214, get that all to the county, whatever, you know, so I did it, but if people don't, are you made aware of somebody that was discharged into our county where you'd reach out to them and say, hey, it would be a good idea to bring your DD 214 in?
Absolutely, and the process has changed a little bit over the years, even from, you know, from your time, from my time. So now what they do is when the veteran gets out, there's multiple parts to that 214. One is the federal government's, you know, part 1 or whatever that they keep. Part 4 is usually the one that's handed to the member and say, don't give this to anybody. This is your proof of your military service. There's also a part 6 that is the state copy. That is being sent by the military departments back to their state, back to their home of record, and the Minnesota Department of Veteran Affairs will get it, and they'll send it to the respective counties.
So you get it even if
I get a part 6 that has everything I need on it, and then by the time they get back, if they come back to their home of record, come back to Wright County and settle in or whatever, I've already got a copy of their 214 form. If you know, they move to some other, you know, state or some other county, I still get that part 6 because it goes to the home of record that was at the time of their discharge. So if another county calls up and says they need it, I've got it right here and I can send it to them. So.
Okay. Appreciate the update. Anybody else?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. The de-escalation briefing, those are some veterans that were on the edge or something?
Right, so the de-escalation training with the Sheriff's Department. So as a private organization, I think trains the Sheriff's Department as part of their annual training, and we were part of that. Just to kind of get us out there to the sheriffs and say, hey, if you come across a veteran who's in crisis or whatever, if they're a veteran, send them, you know, one of the options is to send them to me. You know, not to take the place of, you know, if they're doing something illegal, that needs to be handled. But a lot of times our veterans have, you know, mental health issues, PTSD issues, which could be causing the behavior that is displaying when the sheriff shows up. So do a coordination, and we hand out cards that have different crisis lines. Our number has the 4-county crisis line on it, also has the St. Cloud VA mental health information on stuff, just as kind of a gap filler that, you know, do what you need to do to keep the person safe, but once that's taken care of, let's get them some help, find out why they got in this position and get them back out of that hole that they've dug themselves in.
Mr. Chair, one other thing.
Yep.
Are you using old letterhead yet, or?
That's probably, if you're asking, yes. So I'll make sure I get the new letterhead.
I wasn't sure if it was.
My dad told me a long time ago, if he's asking me a question that he should know, the answer's yes, Dad, I did it.
I did it. No, I'm not old enough to be your dad. Charlie is, but I'm not.
But that's good to use that paper up.
Oh, I agree. I'm
trying to save the county money by using existing stock.
I wasn't sure that if it was on his computer that it was being done that way, or if it wasn't actually.
Yeah, this is for the cover letters and stuff, we have a stack in the copier that it just prints it out on.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, it's like you say.
Sounds good.
Freeze it up.
Appreciate the update. Greg, and you are welcome to come in anytime if you feel that there's something that we would be interested in or that would serve the veterans anyway.
Absolutely.
You're welcome to come back anytime.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everything you've been doing.
Okay, next up, Wright County Highway Engineer, Mr. Virgil Hawkins. Good morning, Virgil.
Morning, Chairman Brown, Board of Commissioners. This morning I'm here to see if there's any comments you had. We distributed our 2016 annual highway report a couple weeks ago, and I'm sure you've had a couple weeks to look at it, and I'm just here to answer any questions or take your comments on it. And once it's approved, we can put it on our website for the public, as we've done in the past several years.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Potter.
A lot of information in there. Holy Hannah. Anybody wants to, if they have insomnia, go read that thing. It's a lot of information. It's all good about where the money's being spent, how it's being spent, what's going on here. I looked at it. It's very thorough. I mean, there's nothing left in there. You can't say, okay, where's this $5? It's right there. So I'm real happy with the report. Mr. Chair, I think that the Virgil and his staff have kept very good records. So anybody going through this can see exactly where they're at, how much was spent, and what we got a result in it. I'll make a motion to accept the 2016 annual report from the Highway Department.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delight. And Virgil, I know that we have some people from the public here that are maybe interested, but how's specifically the project in Waverly? Is that on track for next year?
It is. We just got some new information recently from the city with the cost estimate, and it's a little bit higher than what we previously thought. It's, I think, 1.7 million instead of 1.4 for the county share, but that's something we'll fund with our local option sales tax.
Okay.
If we were able to get rid of a county ditch, would that help us offset some of that?
I know nothing about county ditches. That's Bob's department. Bob, would you like to speak to it?
Yeah. And Connie, we've been trying to get Connie Holmes to take that ditch, and she just will not take it.
So, Connie, did you want to say anything as far as the project at all?
I just appreciate the cooperatives from the highway department and your cooperative in getting this project going. I think
Okay.
looking forward to having start and
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Virgil, with this particular project, kind of going into it with the lake and with all the anomalies sitting there, you kind of anticipated it had a chance of coming in higher than expected, just because there's so many influences and factors there.
And that's just the estimate. Next spring, when bids are taken, it may be lower. We've been getting some really good bids lately, so.
What the thing boils down to is we're going to build the correct road there,
right.
A safe road for the citizens there.
Did the plan, is it like, are you going to purchase some of the right-of-way to make the hill more gradual, or is it going to be a retaining wall, or what?
Yeah, our staff is going to be acquiring any right-of-way needed, and we just got the limits recently of what's needed, so we're in the process of doing that.
Okay, because I know when we
Some
had...
of them are going to have to be a retaining wall, I think, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I don't know, but I just know it needs to be addressed, because when we had that big rain, was it 91?
2002.
2001? Okay.
2001 and 2, we had some.
Okay, but part of that came right across the road and
We're well aware of
into
that.
people's houses, so, yeah, we don't want that to happen again. And as long as we're working on the project, that'll all be addressed, so. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Virgil.
And thanks for the kind words about the annual report. I'd like to give credit to our highway accountant, Patsy, who does a great job with that every year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For items for consideration, we have the committee of the whole minutes for August 1st. Lee, would you like to go through them?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Committee of the Whole met on August 1st. Commissioners Burrell, Delyden, Hewsum, Vetch, and myself were present. Potter was absent that day. Others present: Virgin, Kreiser, Rasmussen, Matthijs, Tagaro, Tom Kelly, Riley, Hevela, Goodrum, Schwartz, Wilsek, and Tim Dahl. Topic was the coordinator level of authority. I provided an overview and indicated that the statutes regarding the different positions, along with sample job descriptions, were available to the board. Burrell stated there were some efficiencies that come with an administrator. Things work good now, but could possibly be better. That was the question that needs to be answered, and that can be done in baby steps. Hewsum stated a few years ago the county heard a presentation from other administrators and received administrator job descriptions, and they all stated the administrator would work under the direction of the county board. The board would have the ability to define how they want that position to be. Burrell responded that the board did not hear from other county board members of those administrators, only the administrators themselves. Hewsum replied, the board oversees and is responsible for the direction of administration. Department heads, commissioners can talk to department heads when needed. Under the coordinator model, day-to-day decisions are delayed and many times need to go to committee, then to board. We've given some decision authority as to what no longer needs to go to committee.
Painting being one.
Commissioner Vetch stated they need to be cohesive, determine how we want to grow, and do we want 15 departments or to operate as one. I stated the job description can define what is appropriate fit for Wright County and what is the most efficient and effective way. Delyden stated they could start out with the coordinator working with each department head as an equal partner and not as a supervisor. Need to work on long-term goals for the county. There are things that we can improve with the department heads and the coordinator, and we can do those improvements. We now allow departments to proceed with filling a position when an employee is leaving. Hewsum cited the change over the years from the secretary to the board to the coordinator. Noted we are not a small county, and we have moved to delegating more responsibilities to administration. All department heads need to be partners, need to work together to achieve the goals of the county. We had some discussion then as to what could be streamlined if the county moved to a coordinator, from a coordinator to administrator, and what level of decision-making administration would have. Commissioner Burrell used an example where he feels there are too many employees in public health, and our level of service may be better than other counties, but he would like to see it reduced. I responded that that would require direction from a quorum of the board to pursue. Vetch noted Sherburne County administrator presents for the department heads at the board meetings, and details are not coming from the horse's mouth. I responded that things would be detailed within reports. Matter could be placed under consent agenda, reducing time by staff at board meetings. Burrell stated if the right decisions are made, it's good, but what happens if good decisions are not being made? Delyden responded that no matter who is the administrator, they cannot make decisions on their own. They need to work with the department heads. I stated the county operates at many different agencies. It creates more inefficiencies. One example is budget, with department heads submit to administration, and administration could submit the whole budget to the board. The board does not necessarily need to go line by line through each department's budget. Burrell noted that that could occur with either an administrator or coordinator position. Vetch noted with an administrator there will be more county enforcement of policies. Right now each department can decide how much they wish to enforce policies. Hewsum stated the department heads are responsible for their departments and the enforcement of policies within their department. Administrator has internal control, not external control. The board needs to work with their constituents. Kreiser noted Stearns County, you cannot contact a department head directly. You need to go through administration. He would not like to see that structure at Wright County. Discussion continued relative to the level of power and whether or not the job title should change. Delyden noted that there are areas of small matters that could be started with, such as where contracts are at or housed, as they should not be in 13 different places. Tom Kelly stated that if the board is concerned with the person in the position, there is a one-year review process, which provides an out. In reality, it comes down to the person in the position. Hiring a dictator will not go well. If the board were to move forward with an administrator, they will need to pass a resolution to do so. Goodrum Schwartz questioned how this would impact her department. Would the administrator then attend the Health and Human Services board meetings? At the present time, she has very little interaction with Coordinator Kelly. Tim Dahl suggested the board look at doing a study similar to what IT had done with Infotech to see what structure would be best for the county. Tagaro questioned the board as to how much hands-on do they want to have in the day-to-day operations. Delyden recommended they start requiring all contractual agreements for essential duties go through the administration office. Hewsum stated that there are so many things that are going on differently throughout. This would be a good topic for leadership meetings. Everything needs to preside somewhere. We need to figure that out and make it uniform throughout the county. Delyden suggested perhaps the next leadership meeting could discuss contract and policy enforcement. What should go through administration, high risk versus low risk, and should there be a dollar threshold, and so on. Suggested that a leadership meeting, that it would be held at a leadership meeting where the board would be present. Mattice stated that it would be beneficial for the coordinator to come back with what he feels should be done and have everyone weigh in on it. Burrell stated he does see the county moving to an administrator at some point. Vetch stated that it needs to be a collective agreement of what the board wants. This is still an investigation in process.
Okay. Okay, and I just wanted to point out too, when this was brought up, what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, Lee?
It would have been summer, spring 2013.
Yeah, but anyway, Commissioner Delighten made a good point, because it wasn't a unanimous thing, there wasn't really even a total consensus, and he said it's a big decision, and I always appreciated him for that, because I think this is a big decision, and we need to, rather than just jump into it, I think we need to, I use the word baby step, but just take small steps and to make sure that we are doing it right, that, it is a big decision. I mean, it's, to me anyway, so.
Well, I want the board to be more unanimous than
To have a little,
than
kind of
a consensus.
Yeah.
It was too split at that time.
I said I always admired you for that, because I thought that was a good call at that time, and I do see ourselves, and there's the good and the bad, and I guess, because there's things where it's like, how much, if we had an administrator, well, then the county board, oh gosh, we have Lee or we have whoever, and we don't need to do any work anymore, and that's a bad mindset to get into, I think, because right now, we're very hands-on, I mean, on a lot of issues, and I think that's good. I
agree. I don't think we need to be involved in painting.
No, but that's what I said. I think there's the way we do this, and the delegation level that we are willing to assign is going to be very important, so.
But there are some things that policies are being done differently throughout the different departments. We do need to get a handle on some of that stuff.
And I think some of the concerns, I know, raised by County Attorney Kelly, he was not hiring a dictator, right? I want to clarify that what he is using that example without saying another county, where an administrator basically tells their attorneys even who they can visit and whatever, just some real controls over it, and he just wants to make sure that we do not mimic that county and some of the practices, whereas it's almost like a micromanagement level at their thing. So, and
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, motion.
And the recommendations.
Motion made by Commissioner Delighten.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussions?
Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner Potter.
Page 2, fifth paragraph from the bottom. Games with Kreiser, noted that is Stearns County should be in. That one's for Commissioner Hewsome, the grammar fuzz, to make sure we're doing this correctly. Because I know if she was here, she would have caught that.
Oh, it should be in, not is?
Not in, not is.
Yeah, but they speak differently in Stearns County.
That's true.
We're not in Stearns They're not in the right county, so, obviously they speak differently.
Okay. That was for Christine, just to make sure she's here in spirit.
Sounds good. Okay, motion by Commissioner, I think we had Commissioner Delighten?
Yep.
Yeah.
Second by Commissioner Potter to approve the minutes and the recommendations. All in favor? Say aye. Opposed, same sign.
And you had a 50-50 chance of getting that right.
Thought you did it. Anyway, they are approved, okay. And then Commissioner Hewsome is not here to talk to this, so.
Yes.
The letter to the legislators regarding the Central Minnesota Emergency Medical Services, and I'll just mention real quick, and then you can dovetail on it. But they currently get their money from a portion of seatbelt violations, and over the years, Minnesotans in general have been better about wearing their seatbelts, so the seatbelt tickets are down, hence their revenue is down, and they're getting into some real squeezes financially, and they're looking for something a little more stable revenue source, and I think that's what this is about.
Yeah, and this is not so much for Wright County, but there's some of the smaller counties that are part of the Central Minnesota, where the ambulances, and the fire departments are very small, have no funds available. This helps support those small ambulance services, that sort of stuff. So it has everything to do with emergency medical services.
Okay.
Training and that sort of stuff. Commissioner Hewsome had asked, she was thinking that it just stated to have the board sign it, But her preference would be to have everybody, all the commissioners sign it, to send off.
No problem.
She thinks it would be better having all the commissioners sign it instead of just the board chair,
Okay.
showing that there's interest from each individual commissioner.
Okay. So that'll be part of your motion when you make this, or?
Yep, so I'll make the motion to send this letter to the legislators and having all 5 commissioners sign it.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Leiden, second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussion?
You know what, I wonder if it wouldn't hurt to have the sheriffs. Well, no, because that would only be for Wright County.
I won't get a compromise.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Next up, Budget Committee of the Whole revision. Coordinator Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just another revision of the Budget Committee of the Whole schedule. Only one revision, moving the Great River Regional Library's presentation to the afternoon of September 5th. So
Where did we have them before, Lee?
they were originally in the afternoon of the 12th.
Okay.
So we'll have potentially a little bit of a gap on the afternoon of the 12th, but
What time was theirs before?
I believe they were at 3 o'clock on the 12th.
Okay.
Prior.
Okay. Well, that might work out good because some of the Fair Board members would like to actually come in, and I know last year we just said we didn't need them to come in, but at one of our meetings we thought about it and says, it's nice to see them every now and then too, and whatever. So, okay, sounds good. There's no vote required on that. You just
If we could adopt that schedule, I would
okay, why don't we do that?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt that committee of the whole schedule for the budget.
Motion by Commissioner Potter,
Oh, you want me to second it?
if you want.
I'll second it.
If not, I could have one of the other commissioners do it.
Oh, okay. I guess you try that one.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delighten to adopt the revised budgets of the whole schedule. And this will be revised 8/29/17. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Advisory Committee, Advisory Board updates.
Mr. Chair, I'll just start with one thing. Although this was in Commissioner Vetch's district, the Highway 24, the bridge spanning the Mississippi at Clearwater, had the ribbon cutting on August 16th, Wednesday. That bridge, it came in early, like 2 or 3 months earlier than they anticipated, and I believe the costs were a little bit cheaper than they anticipated. The thing is, the old bridge it replaced was from 1959 vintage, did not have much provisions for if you had any kind of accident on there. This particular bridge, what they did is they still made it a 2-lane bridge, but they have the pedestrian walkway on the side that is wide enough for an emergency vehicle and structurally sound enough for an emergency vehicle to go, say, in the middle of the bridge as a crash, they can get to them, which is kind of unique. It's a little bit different. This is the first time I saw it, and they said, the MnDOT was saying that this is something they anticipated and say they needed to do this on that because it's a particularly long span of bridge. And I applaud them for actually taking the time to have the foresight to do it. It costs a little bit extra money, but when somebody's life's on the line, emergency people need to be able to get there. Otherwise, the other thing, Mr. Chair, is that yesterday the DNR had a big to-do down in St. Paul, and they did a tour of Pelican Lake, which I couldn't attend because we were here.
I didn't make it either.
And I'll have to follow up with Fred Bankston on that, how it turned out and what.
Yeah, it was a special program they had.
Correct.
They had a lot of bigwigs from Washington and other states here visiting.
I was more particularly interested in Pelican Lake itself and how that's going, because when people ask you what's going on with that, it's nice to get firsthand information and the visual. You could see exactly where the control structure, exactly what they're doing. And definitely this year compared to last year, it is going down.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it.
That's
You've been out to that control structure, haven't you?
When it was new, not since it's been in operation.
Yeah, it's still flowing. I don't think they're pumping quite yet because the water's still plenty high.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Commissioner DeLine.
On the 17th, we went to Victor Township for a water task force meeting. We went out and kind of toured the Discovery Farms setup, which is...
You were down my way and you didn't stop in and say hi.
I was pressed for time. And you didn't offer me dinner, so... Or maybe you did, and you said you were cooking, and I wasn't interested. Maybe that's what it was. Anyway, Discovery Farms is monitoring runoff from 24-acre watershed, I think it is. And so they're measuring the water runoff, sediment, phosphorus control, all that sort of stuff, based on whatever plants are being grown there. Right now, it's the last year of hay, so next year it'll be probably corn. So it's kind of interesting, the information they've gathered over the years of doing this on how the runoff changes dramatically with the crop rotation. With alfalfa in there now, there's hardly any water runoff and hardly any, well, actually, no sedimentation runoff. So it makes a major difference on it. So it's an interesting study that they've been doing. And then we had talked about a little bit about Ditch 10, the study that's going on with that, what we've been doing. And then I was at up in Annandale for an open house on the 23rd, last Wednesday, for AIS regional inspection. And it was kind of misleading. People were up there expecting a meeting, but it was only an open house, and they had it stated that an open house starting at 7. The people drove a long way expecting presentations.
Yeah.
And didn't get any of that. It was just a chance for them to see a couple different things, grab the policy, talk to some people. There was a couple of DNR people there. It was kind of confusing for a lot of people. They were a little bit upset. Normally when I see an open house, I see
a presentation of some sort.
Well, no, I'll say that it'll say from 5 to 7,
yeah.
5 to 8, a window,
yeah.
Not starting at 7. And with no end date, or no end time. So I think it's kind of it was confusing for people. So there was some discussion. Supposedly we've gotten a number of different comments from that open house, which is what DNR wanted. I couldn't find it on Wright County Soil and Water website, on the AIS website. I sent her an email yesterday seeing what's going on with that. But I talked to a lot of fishermen who are really, really upset about it. I don't know if you've been reading the articles in the Minneapolis Trib about what's required to go into Canada and out of Canada, and Montana, Wyoming, and Washington.
Oh, I know out west, they're very, very stringent.
Yeah, they have to do.
If you were even driving down the road and you didn't have your boat properly tagged, you're probably gonna...
Well, they have lots of...
Yeah.
Where they require it that you pull over and do it before and after.
And their lakes up there are so pristine, they're high mountain lakes, so they're the beginning, they're the headlands to so the only way that they're going to get polluted or get an AIS is by somebody bringing it in, so I can see their concern.
Yeah. But a lot of the fishermen didn't like the idea of having to have it inspected before, and it was going to go into their timeline, and they wouldn't be able to go fishing when they wanted to, and so
Okay.
we'll have to see what happens.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
And and I didn't have anything real county thing, but I would like to mention I was down to see the total eclipse of the sun south of Carbondale, Illinois.
And you've been singing it ever since you got
I'm
back.
telling you, if there's going to be another one in 2024 in April, and it crisscrosses the country from Mexico up to New York, and I'd say anybody that gets a chance to experience it, it was awesome. It really was to witness that. I mean, it was warm, so they were running with their they had their cars, and some were sitting in their cars waiting, and then when it totally went dark, their headlights all turn on, and people are yelling, shut your lights off, and then you could see the planets, and then when the sun first appeared, then after the eclipse, it's just like this brilliant diamond flare that comes out. It was quite a deal, so I would recommend it. Anyway, that's it. Lee, did you make it down?
No, didn't make that one.
And
He's got little kids to deal with.
well, they would love it. Assistant County Attorney Kreiser went on vacation out to the Grand Tetons, so he was updating me because they got to see it first and stuff, so it was pretty cool. All righty, that's it. Anybody else? Did anyone have anything that wanted to address the board at all? Nope. Okay. Just being entertained today, huh? All right. We are adjourned at 10 o'clock.